to go. Oh, sorry, no, not yet.
It just popped up on my screen and it says this meeting is being live streamed. Do
I
you
have
can,
the same thing.
yeah,
It's saying setting up on mine. Okay, we're good now.
Thank you, Gail. Good evening, everyone. This is the Deseret Town Council Regular Council Meeting, July 14th, 2021. This evening, the mayor is unable to attend, so as deputy mayor, I'll be chairing. And Councillor Clark also sends his regrets. Tonight, we have Councillor Hudson and Councillor Smith, as well as acting clerk Gail Miracle, and as a delegation, Mr. James Zeman. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start the business of the evening. Just give me a second to get this agenda up here. So could I have a motion to adopt the agenda with the addition of one item from me? And that item is a motion to support the public library to apply for a Canada Community Revitalization Fund grant. Does anybody else have any other items to add to the agenda? Could I have a mover, please, of the agenda?
Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Councillor Hudson. Could I have a second, please?
Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Approved. Disclosure of pecuniary interest tonight, folks.
None.
Seeing or hearing none. Approval of the minutes of the June 23rd regular council meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Can I count on you as a seconder, Councillor Hudson?
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you. That's carried. We're moving on to deputations and presentations. I will turn the floor over for the next 10 minutes to Mr. Zeman. Mr. Zeman, thank you for coming in tonight.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and council members. I think you know why we're here. Dave Foster at 191 Branch Street has put an application in for a severance. During the application process, the planning department in Belleville noted that there was an issue on the title regarding Mr. Foster's property. And it was basically what it said was it was subject to the interest of the municipality. Now, I went back to town staff to inquire about this, and it turned out there was a quit claim deed that was passed back in 1975 when they transferred the land, which was Cross Street, over to Dave Foster's grandfather. I would like to thank also town council for recognizing there was an issue with the title and putting it before the town solicitor, who also sent a response back. And it appears that even though the quitclaim deed states several places throughout it that the grantor, which is the town of Deseret, gave to the grantee, which was Dave Foster's grandfather, all the rights and claims to the land and uses forever. And that went on to the heirs and the assigns. When it was put before the town solicitor, he had noted that the quitclaim deed did not, in fact, close the road allowances. So that is the issue before us that we're trying to get resolved. Is we would like to get the Cross Street and College Street road allowances on Dave Foster's property at 191 Brant closed. The property to the south belongs to Dave's father, and I included there the Geo Warehouse report for the legal description. In that, you would see that there is none of this S/T to the corporation of the town of Deseret. Thank you very much. If you were to look at Dave's Geo Warehouse description, can you get it, Gail, or? Gail? Hello?
I think the clerk has muted herself, but is still on the line. We all have copies of everything on our computers, and I believe Councillor Smith also has a copy in front of him.
Yes, I did.
If you want to just reference the page, we can scroll if that helps.
Well, the document is called Dave's Geo Warehouse Report.
Yep, I have it.
And if you look at Dave's.
Pages 11 and 12 of your agenda packages, folks.
Okay. So if you look at the legal description on that, you'll see at the very end, there is the ST interest of the municipality.
Yes.
Whereas with Dave's father's property, that ST has been removed, even though Cross Street does exist on his land because, College Street exists on his land because there is the College Street extension coming up from Highway 2. Similarly to the north of Dave's property, there's the French property, which is approximately 6 acres, which has, you don't have this one, by the way. Maybe I could share my screen.
Maybe if the easiest way would be to email that after. I can
That
sort
would
of
be-
see where their property on page 12 looks like it connects with Dave's father's property, and then sort of L's behind the house, and then you can see where the road for College Street would cut off.
Yep. And similarly for the French's property to the north, they have the same legal description basically as Dave's property. There is no S-T to the municipality. So those roads appear to be closed because they're not on title. We're not sure what happened back in 1975, but like I said, if you look at the actual quit claim itself, on page 1, it states that the quit claim deed covers those portions of the road allowances for Cross and College Streets abutting the Foster property. We're looking for the quit claim.
Yeah, I have it. That would be, ladies and gentlemen, on page number 21. And would go to page 23.
There we are. Thank you very much, Steve. So you can see there where I've highlighted there, the quit claim is talking about those specific streets of Cross and College. And that was the bylaw that was passed after the third reading. If you go to the indenture on the next page, they identified who the grantors and grantees are, but the thing that's circled at the bottom there is where they're saying that the grantor doth hereby grant, release, and quit claim onto the grantees, their heirs and assigns all estate, rights, title, interest, claim, and demand whatsoever, both at law and inequality otherwise, however, and whether in possession of the expectancy, so forth and so on. If you read down through there as well, it will mention College Street and Cross Street. If you go to Schedule A of the indenture, it's the next page, at the top, it's just reiterating the fact that this is transfer of land and they're giving up all rights, including those to Cross and College Street. The following page also states that the said lands will be given to the grantee and their heirs and assigns forever. One more page there, Steve, please.
Okay.
Right in the middle there, where it says that it goes to the heirs and assigns forever. Then on the next page regarding the land transfer tax, item 6 on that page. The other way, Steve?
Actually, that is Gail manipulating, actually.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No
If you
problem.
look down there at item 6, it says to release any interest the grantor may have to within the prescribed property to the grantee. Now, this is the land transfer that had occurred back in December of 1975. So it was clearly indicated that the town indeed wanted to give the land to the use of Mr. Foster for his own use. But however, for whatever reason, the road allowance wasn't closed. What we're looking for is some way or a motion or some sort of documentations to say that indeed that town is willing to close these road allowances And then we can send that on with the application and get the application moving forward again.
Thank you, Mr. Zeman. That was some pretty thorough research. So you're asking us to close both the Cross Street and the College Street road allowances? Or just,
Associated with Dave's property, because it appears the ones on Dave's dad's property, and I will forward on to council the French report property. There is no indication that the town has any rights to those road allowances.
yes, thank you. I'm gonna maybe provide a little bit of advice. I did hear from the mayor today, and I think we've had a similar situation where that if we don't actually close up a road allowance, we had another issue that it might come back to haunt us. So I think the easiest thing for you would be to council, I'm sure, is going to be agreeable here. This at least to getting that Cross Street situation rectified. So what I would suggest is make the if I could speak, the application to stop up the road allowance, which there is a process to do that. That would come up before us. We would then agree or disagree with that as a council. And then you're able to proceed as you want to with the remainder of the property. So I think that would be the first thing that I would do, is make application to stop up that road allowance. And since you've provided all of this legal information, and since our lawyer has provided the advice that it's on the applicant, not the municipality, to do so, I think that will be your quickest and easiest way to get a resolution to this problem. I think that's the most efficient way of going forward. Clearly, there has to be some issue in the past. This is a mess, and we all know it's a mess, but thank goodness we're not in 75 anymore, or 76, it's 2021, and we'll rectify it as soon as that application is made. And I think that would be the quickest way to move forward for you, Mr. Zeman.
I agree with you, Deputy Mayor. Could the clerk send me the relevant forms or process so that I can jump on this as soon as I can?
I'll refer that to the clerk if the town would indeed have those, or if it's resting at the county because of planning department. Gail, through to you, do you know if we have anything at this point? Because we did have a request to do the same thing a couple of years ago.
I'll research to see if we have them here. If not, I'll get them from the county.
Excellent. So I think
Could I add one more thing? Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
In that package, I included a package from the Ontario government regarding municipal road allowances.
Yes.
I don't understand it myself all that well. I read through it briefly, but understand that it is under your control. And again, I'm not sure what the process is, but whatever the process is, I would like to jump on it as quick as possible.
We will be as judicious as possible getting you that paperwork in order to move forward here. Now, Mr. Zeman, it is new and news to us as a council that the College Street road allowance is an issue. We might have to circle back on that. When we were presented the information previously, it was just the Cross Street that was presented us as an issue. Is it your intent to stop off the College Street road allowance as marked out on the Geo Warehouse maps?
Only for Mr. Dave Foster's at 191, because the property for Dave's father to the south and the French property to the north are not subject to the corporation, which indicates to me that the town had closed those road allowances, or else they would have been subject to the corporation.
You'd be surprised at some of the records and how they do not necessarily always show the same thing. Title can be a nightmare. And looking at these maps, you can see yourself how the lots here are totally out of the normal pattern of the town of Deseronto. And it does look like, you know, if we stopped up road allowances there could be issues with the lots behind. So I would not necessarily say we could go forward with stopping up the College Street road allowance. I can't commit to that as a councilor or a member of council, but we can look into that one. But the Cross Street, I would fill in that application and make that as soon as possible.
Okay, regarding the College Street,
Yep.
do you want me to apply to close it all? Because then that would avail council to sell that lot that goes from Highway 2 up to the south side of Dave Foster's father's property. That could
That
be
might- That might be that's another discussion for council. We might need to maintain some sort of access to other lots. I'm looking at the large zoning bylaw consolidation lot. By getting rid of road access, that does make other lots owned by other people unbuildable. And that could be a problem down the road as well. So if you wanted to make one application for Cross Street and maybe a second application for College Street, that might make more sense. I'm going to open it up to my council colleagues if there's any comment or question that they might have. Councillor Hudson or Councillor Smith?
Councillor Hudson,
Aye.
I would agree that I am supportive under the understanding that aware of this issue and this file, as we've met Mr. Foster in our meetings before. So I agree. I'm aware of the 1 street access. The 2nd street access is something that's new to me as well. So I just personally feel like with all this information being brought to our attention, that maybe we have a little bit more. I'm fully supportive of what's happening here. I just think that we need a little bit more time to fully understand each of the pieces of documentation, and make sure that we're making a complete right decision. But in no way am I against looking into this. I just want to make sure that we're fully covered.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson. Councillor Smith?
I also would like to make sure we have all our bases covered on this. So we don't impede on anybody else.
Okay. So I think, Mr. Zeman, tonight, if you would like to leave this meeting knowing that we're going to look at any application with the eye for you to develop what you need to develop, but we have to balance off the interests of other property owners as well. Please start that process so we can deal with it through our normal meeting cycle and get you ready to go as soon as possible.
Well, I appreciate council's help with this, and that sounds like a viable plan going forward. I'll work on that application as soon as I can get stuff out, and I will forward on that French Geo report just so you can see that College Street extension from Cross up to North Street is not counted on that thing. But as you said, stuff has happened in the past.
Thank
Okay.
you so much. So, Mr. Zeman, we look forward to seeing your application or applications for those stop-up road allowances, and hope that you can move forward. And we will be looking at this item moving forward with great interest. So thank you for coming tonight. Could I
Thank you.
have a,
Absolutely. Thank you for your time, Jamie.
Thanks a lot for your listening to us and your help in the past and in the future. See you later.
no problem, good night.
Jimmy.
Could I have a motion to receive the delegation's report? Thanks, Councillor Hudson. Councillor
Councillor
Smith,
Smith,
great, thank you, sir. It's carried. Zipping back up to our regular routine business tonight, we have approval of accounts. We have schedule of accounts 13/20/21. May I have a motion to approve that schedule of accounts, please?
Councillor Smith is found to be proven right.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Thank you, Councillor Hudson, for the second, and that is carried. Looking at the next one, we have staff reports, the water issue on 2nd Street. So I'll refer that to Gail. Gail, thank you.
So as you know, we had an issue with the drainage on 2nd Street. I've spoken with the Public Works Supervisor, and he has suggested that we lower the catch basin that's at 2nd and Thomas Street, and that will reduce the amount of water that's going downhill to the bottom of 2nd Street. And he also had a suggestion that after speaking to Greer Galloway, that the homeowner put a ditch in front of his garage, which would also catch a lot of the water before it enters the property.
So one suggestion for us, one suggestion for the homeowner.
Correct.
Is there any other situations? I know I have a situation in my neighborhood at Green and Cross Street where the catch basin is an inch and a half, maybe, above grade, so water has to be flowing pretty high and pretty fast to be going into it. Is there any other catch basin issues sitting in the community where the catch basin is substantially higher than the grade of the street? Does anyone know? Would there be a report, maybe our last roads report that we received from Greer Galloway?
I'm not aware of any reports. I can check and see if there are.
Well, there is an accumulation of water that turns into ice on Cross Street every time we get even a small rainfall or snowfall. So this isn't an isolated issue, but I do like the solution. Councilors, what is your opinion?
I would agree, Councillor Hudson. If we can in some way alleviate the problem for our homeowners, I think that's our responsibility first. And then if there's, I don't know if it's over speaking or being overconfident, but if there's some way that we can support the homeowners in alleviating the issue with regards to making sure that the roadway in front of their home, if it is part of our responsibility, make sure that there's some way that we can work with them to make that happen. But I would be fully supportive of lowering the basins to make sure that this flooding problem is partially taken care of.
I think that's the easiest solution. Councillor Smith, any comment?
I myself agree with the recommendation, but I also maybe would like to see if we do have any other problems like this throughout town.
I think
And
that's,
maybe have them all rectified at the same time.
I think that might be a wise situation. I don't know about you last night, but that rainfall got quite heavy quite quickly. And we had that once in 100-year storm just 3 years ago that easily could be repeated. I think that might make a good solution. So could I take a motion to accept the recommendation in the report and direct staff to make a further report to the number of catch basins to be repaired?
Councillor Smith?
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Hudson, do you second that?
I second that, and I would agree with Councillor Smith's suggestion that we also figure out the other basins in town that need to be looked at.
Great, excellent, folks. So that issue is off our agenda and moved on. So we have the report from Public Works Supervisor, Main Street. This is the culvert repair that is just an update. Tenders will be closing July 28th. The Thomas Street resurfacing is on hold until the tenders are received from Main Street to see how much more money will be required. It looks like costs have gone up substantially. Moving on to the next item on the agenda. Just give me a second here. I have too many windows open. The joys of Zoom meetings. We have the report to council transit from July the 9th.
Do we, Chair, do you want a motion to accept the Public Works report before we move into transit, or?
You know, I'm gonna take a motion for both just to keep it quick if there's no opposition to that.
Oh, I think both reports were well done.
All right, so you move that, Councillor Hudson?
Yep.
Thank you. Councillor Smith,
Second.
great, and that's
Oh,
carried.
second that.
You know, I did do a little bit of research in the past. If we are stuck for a second, the chair can second. I just can't move. So don't feel stressed out if you guys are getting tired of moving and seconding. I can step in. It's always fun with three. We have some action items. We have a request, 10.1, the request letter from the Royal Canadian Legion.
I would move to put it on the table for discussion.
It's on the table as it is. It's on the agenda.
Okay.
Perfect. So do you want to start off the discussion, Councillor Hudson?
Yeah, I just, you know, I'm very supportive of our Legion. This is another item that I would I don't know if I make a motion towards this, but to have us maybe look into how we can support Legion, and if this is something that we're able to do for them. I don't know if
Okay.
that's a direction to staff to maybe look into this, if this is something that's viable and bring it to the next meeting, or however we want to word that.
Okay, I think we have a start of a motion. I'm just gonna let you put that on hold so I can hear from Counselor Smith, and then we'll create a motion at the end. Counselor Smith, any comment at this point?
Well, the Legion is a big part of the town, and Legion has helped the town out quite a bit. I myself don't see any reason why we can't help them out for a little bit. It's only what, three payments?
Good point. I did a bit of research into this issue. It's very rare that the Legion reaches out for a handout. They're usually doing the hand up.
Right.
In 2020, there was $20 million made specifically available for veterans organizations. It's called the Veterans Organizations Emergency Support Fund. And specifically out of that 20 million, $14 million was made for the Royal Canadian Legion branches to support them during the closure, because I think both federal and provincial government knew that legions were going to be hit hard by this. I would like to have a little more information before I make a decision. Maybe I don't think we say no or yes tonight, but we just get the information that we need. Did the Legion apply for this money? What about the other organizations that experience closure? I'm thinking of like our churches, for instance. They were in the same boat as the Legion. Their offerings dried up because of the shutdown. And maybe there'll be a bigger hit. If we approve one for the Legion, there are other organizations that were in the same boat. And I kind of want to have an idea of what we could be looking at here. So I think, Councillor, you had a motion that you were building.
Yeah, and I wonder too if, I don't know if it's too much to add to it, that we support the Legion in helping figure out if there's any grant funding, like you mentioned, that we can help them gain access to, along with looking for if there's any room in our budget to support the Legion in those two movements. So can we support them, or can we have staff create some sort of way that we can help them gain some funding that will help them in this situation that they're asking for?
So you're basically making a motion that council directs staff to prepare a report and recommendation for the next meeting. And in the meantime, provide any support that comes our way through any emails to the Legion.
Absolutely. I think we need to just find all the options that we can to be able to support them. And then if it falls back on us as a municipality, what would that look like? And then bring that back to council.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson. That's moved. I'll second that. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Councillor Smith?
Go ahead, Councillor Smith.
Well, we're looking into that. Can we look into other nonprofit organizations within town that may need the help?
We might as well do all the nonprofits at the same time to see what that whole line would be. So if that's a friendly amendment to, if you feel that is a friendly amendment, Councillor Hudson, I'll let that be our motion.
I would never be against helping our community organizations finding more funding outside of the municipality. Not that I'm not fully supportive of us funding them, but we only get so much. And if we can utilize our staff to help our other organizations, I'm totally on board.
Fantastic. So I move that carried unanimously. Well done, folks. I think that's a good way to move forward here. We have the next a memo from me to council regarding the dead ash tree problem that's growing due to the emerald ash borer problem that's taking out a lot of trees, and some potential liability and safety concerns on municipal property. If I could just give the high view here, just a eagle's eye view. We have a big budget issue hitting. We have about 7 dead ash trees in the park and another 5 or 6 in the cemetery. These trees will snap off at the base when they're dead within the next year. It is a liability. It's in the park. It's in the cemetery. We've invested thousands of dollars in a reserve account so that headstones can be repaired. This could put all that money in jeopardy when a big elm or ash tree, crashes down and wipes out dozens of headstones. There are some recommendations there. One is based on a previous council motion. I'm hoping that I could have a mover to execute those 5 recommendations, please.
Counselor Hudson, I have looked over your 5 recommendations and I would fully agree with moving forward and fully the problem with the ash trees.
Yeah, the solution would be to use the tree removal budget this year from our town budgeting process to target the ash trees in order to solve this problem before it takes out people and public property. It also talks about road allowances. There's a couple on road allowances that need to be dealt with too. So
Sorry.
Go ahead.
If I may, Chair, I do understand in your requested actions that the Public Works Manager assesses the situation. If I may add to that motion that we hear from the Public Works Manager about the situation, that would be something that I would be appreciative of. I always appreciate hearing from staff directly about what they see and how that's going to work within their budget. And I think that would just be a kind of a good place for conversation.
Great. I will second that motion and the friendly amendment there. Any other questions at this time?
And may I add, I'm so confident in our Public Works. That's why I would like to.
Good stuff, Councillor Hudson. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moving on to the next item tonight. When I find it. We have items requiring no action. If I'm correct, I'm going off script here because my computer.
If they're all the information items, I would move. I'm sure we've all looked at them, and unless there's any comment, I move to receive them all together.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson. Councillor Smith, can I count on you for a second?
Yes, you can. I'm just getting paperwork all together.
I know it's you know, I kind of miss my big blue folder of stuff, but anyway, we'll get back to those.
I like to work versus the computer, but I'm sure
I know
we'll be back at it one day.
So is there any questions about any of those items in that stuff? There's some sad news. I think the troubling news about the cuts to lunchroom care, that's going to have an impact on the county budget for sure and through our levy. But lots of good news from Hastings County in that package. Some good news from AMO. So and Mr. Cramp's office has provided us some good news as well. So well done. Second from Councillor Smith, I think, eh?
Yes.
Great. And we have received all of those. At the end of that, we have some job postings to discuss. We are moving forward with staffing the arena for the 2021-2022 season. We have three jobs in this posting, and I'll turn it over to Gail to explain where these postings came from.
These were just postings I found on the computer that we had put out before. So I've just submitted them with the agenda just to see if council's okay with them or whether they'd like any changes.
So these are both seasonal positions, so they're not full-time. So they do not tie the municipality down in the long term, but they will get the arena up and going. I talked to the mayor before the meeting, and this is not the end of our discussions on the arena as we move forward. The arena will be definitely top of mind in August and September. This is just an initial get things going so we can start the season at the appropriate time in August.
Councillor Hudson, if I may.
Certainly, ma'am.
I like job description. I'm wondering, and correct me if not, if we need a separate one for our full-time operator versus our part-time attendants. That's, we don't. But outside of that, I just think it's really important that we continue to make sure that we are having people in our arena all the time. I've been so stressed out just kind of as a counselor and not having anybody in the arena for a while. I know that we have part-time people who are doing an excellent job, but just that whole full-time operator, the idea of seasonal versus trying to just wanting to understand a little bit more maybe of how that process is going to work. But I just wanted to throw maybe there an idea of separate which is okay if we don't, just kind of what I'm thinking about. I just think it's such an asset for our community.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson. If I can maybe venture to answer your first concern.
Please do. Yeah, please do.
Job descriptions are existing for these positions. The council previous, when they had some restructuring, did do a job description. These are just the corresponding postings for those job descriptions. And they're seasonal because I think at this time, we need to have further discussion about our entire staffing of the municipality. So these are seasonal jobs with the intention of, in the next few months, ensuring that the staffing for the entire organization is taken care of with the hiring of a new town manager.
Is, if I may then, for a point of discussion, maybe for the idea of the full-time operator, that it's temporary, temporary with possible consideration for full-time. You know what I mean? Just, I would open it up to people who might be interested that might not have a chance already, and then people we can look at in the future as well.
Very good point, Councillor Hudson. I think anyone who's listening to the meeting tonight, and this is always a good cost reference for what council's decided, these meetings are recorded and posted, knows that we are looking at stability down at the arena, and anyone who would be looking at that, of course, we have to follow our human resources policy, but it would be a very good trial run for anyone who is looking for a full-time arena job.
I just think it might be more enticing in the operator sense if there's an ability to move forward in a full-time position.
I would agree with that. I think the intent here is just to get this ball rolling, and we'll see where it goes.
Deputy Mayor,
Yes, sir.
full-time operator. Is that to oversee the whole arena, or is that to oversee the ice plant also?
That would be the whole arena, including the ice plant, sir.
Okay, I just need a little bit of clarification on
No
that.
problem. It is the full arena, including all of it, including the gym and the community hall facility. And the seasonal attendants would, of course, not have that technical expertise, but would be able to support all the operations down at the arena.
Which again,
Right.
I think they should be separate.
So would you like to separate them out, Councillor Hudson, and bring this back at the next meeting?
I would. I don't want to prolong any hiring process. I'm not sure if we can maybe amend it in a way, but yeah, I would like to see them separate. Maybe that's just me. I'm okay with opposition. I just think when we're looking for someone to run our arena, we don't want someone who's going to be there for a couple months and then, you know, move forward with something different. I think we really need to start getting competitive and things like that. That's a full other conversation. But yes, I do think that the two should be separate and that the seasonal full-time operators should have those separate amendments that I talked about. I just think it would give us a bigger base of individuals to choose from with more of an opportunity for them to show themselves. And for us to have a bigger pool of people who maybe would be more committed to the position.
All right, so would you like to make some suggestions? If we're gonna break this out, we're gonna do two different job postings.
I would just say one with the seasonal part-time and then one with the seasonal full-time operator. And then just the only amendment I would make would be consideration for full-time depending on situation or however it needs to be worded. But if we're going to get some good candidates, I think that there really needs to be an opportunity for people to think that there's a bigger job there, which there is. But we just need to figure out what that looks like.
All right, so we have do you want to move that as a motion that we separate these two things out?
I
And-
would know if anybody agrees with
yeah.
my opinion or not, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. And it's unfortunate that the mayor and Councillor Clark aren't here to also have an opinion on what I'm trying to put forward. But Councillor Smith, please feel free to tell me how you feel about it. And if it's kind of irrational on my behalf.
Oh, I don't think we
I-
ever call you irrational, Councillor Hudson. You have every valid right to contribute to the discussions, and you participate well. Councillor Smith, any comment?
I just have another question.
Sure.
To run the ice plant for the arena surface itself, do you not need a licensed refrigeration technician?
There is additional
that?
qualifications that are required. Absolutely.
Yes.
So I think maybe Councillor Hudson's concern is probably something that we should look at, because there is more technical requirements for the full-time operator and the two seasonal part-time attendants. I think the easiest thing to get this going, and correct me if I'm wrong here, folks, with my thinking, is that we refer this matter back to staff, but approve the hiring of these three jobs, the one full-time
Yes.
seasonal operator and the two part-time attendants. We can finagle the wording, lay off the record after town hall, but I think the intent tonight is to get these three positions approved.
I would go ahead and put the forward the motion that we need to approve the three positions, because I'm very adamant that our arena needs to be up and running. But also with the consideration of everything else that I've mentioned with
Perfect.
this issue.
All right. So if I
I
can,
would like it to be brought back. If that's another piece that I need to put out there, I would like the issue to be brought back for discussion.
you do not want us to go ahead with the hiring? You want us to bring it back?
No, I'm cool with the temporary positions. I just also,
Oh,
well,
it will be brought back.
okay.
We are, your committee will be dealing with this up to your elbows in no time at all. This is just to get the ball whirling until we get that committee going. So if I can offer maybe
Our arena running. And then I think we really need to put time and effort into figuring out having the qualifications for the right people to be running our arena.
okay, so if I can maybe,
They have big shoes to fill.
perhaps maybe if I can offer staff a template for a motion that council approve the three positions outlined. However, council requests that the two job descriptions be posted separately.
I would be supportive of that. And
Thank
that
you.
that this senior job position has some additions of some of the qualifications that we're looking for.
Absolutely, it would.
So that's maybe a little bit different, but I would
Absolutely.
see if we can get the talent.
Perfect. That works fine then. I think we got consensus on that. If Councillor Smith, you're willing to second that, we'll be able to move forward.
Yes, I am.
Perfect. I guess we're all in favor of that. So those positions are approved. Staff will revise the postings, and there'll be two separate postings reflecting the expertise of the jobs. All
Thank you
right.
very-
No problem. All right, continuing on, we are looking at, let's just, I think it's almost time for our statements. It is kind of a pain. Bear with me.
Excuse me, it's fireworks 12.2.
Fireworks 12.2. All right, let me pull that up. I am so sick and tired of Zoom meetings. All right, Councillor Hudson, I believe this is your item, correct?
I did, yes. I put forward,
And then Then I'll
So-
cede the floor to you.
As we talked about, we had postponed our fireworks from Canada Day. And so I put the addition to the item so that we could further discuss having our fireworks for the town on the August civic holiday.
So we're looking at the 2nd of August.
Yes.
All right, so
And
we
I
are
think-
now
yeah.
moving into stage
Proposed that
3.
we do that.
We are now moving into stage 3. Any conversation at this point? You know, Councillor Hudson, I'm a firm believer that would be the ideal time. One thing that we'd have to get clarification, and I have to defer to the poorly worded, and I'm using my judgment as chair to call it poorly worded, regulation. Outdoor events are limited to 100 people, except if it's a sporting event or another concert. So I want to make sure that this falls within the parameters of the stage 3, because we will not be in stage 4 necessarily at that point, but I'm fully supportive.
Well, and if I may,
Yeah.
think that we can come up with some sort of maybe marketing campaign where we use our entire waterfront. We're not necessarily inviting everyone to come down, but I think we can definitely ask people to social distance and be respectful of the fireworks that we're putting forth for the community. And thankfully, Deserano is kind of one of those places where maybe you have a friend in town where you guys can get together socially distanced safely, or I think that people will be able to respect the guidelines put forward with regards to our 3 or 4 waterfront properties that people can come down and enjoy and social distance. But I just think if we're going to invite people to see the fireworks, that I think we're fully capable of putting forward those expectations and asking people in town to respect that.
Okay, Councillor Smith, any ideas?
I would agree with August long weekend instead of September, yes. But
Can,
do we have enough firefighters that are licensed to set them off?
that's
Great.
another thing that we need to look into. I believe the distributor can provide us support to launching fireworks. I talked to Gail about that earlier the last couple of weeks. I'm very keen in getting these off too. Could I maybe make a suggested motion that we have staff refer our proposal for lighting up the fireworks to the health unit for approval? That will cover our backsides on the long weekend. And if we're not allowed to do so, our next meeting would be in August. It would be August the 11th. I think that would be too late to make any more plans. So why don't we make a plan right here for backup days? And I've noticed Councillor Hudson has just disappeared off her screen and I think there might be some technical difficulties, so I'm just going to wait for her to rejoin. Are you there, Amber?
Yeah, sorry, being on my phone is not ideal.
No problem, no problem. I have to wait
No,
for you. I don't want to lose quorum.
And I agree. If we maybe look into all the things that we need to make sure that can happen to have that happen, like I'm fully supportive. It's something we've been talking about for a while.
I have my calendar open, and usually the first week of August is one of the big holiday weeks, like the last week of July. So what about Saturday, the 14th of August as a backup day number 1?
Okay.
And maybe backup day number 2 could be the 28th. That's a Saturday of August. It's before the long weekend. So people might still be in town, and it would give us 3 backup dates. So sometime on the August long weekend, our backup date number 1 would be the 14th, and our backup date number 2 would be the 28th. And doing it on a Saturday on those weekends would be more inclusive of families, and kids can be up a little later. There's no school or anything to worry about the next day, or routines of going to babysitters for some of our kids. So I think that might be a good way to go. So if that's possible as a motion, that we refer our plan for the August long weekend to the health unit for approval, and subsequently that we plan for the 14th and the 28th as backup days. Would that be acceptable to you, Councillor Hudson?
I would agree. I really just think that our community deserves a little something from us with COVID, and we have, our far few little events that we do, and we're strong in those. And I think people will appreciate. I hope people will appreciate the effort. So
I think they will. I think they will.
I think they will. So I think whatever we can make work to show that we appreciate our people in our community, I'm all for it. So however you want to amend the motion, I'm happy with it. And I've been talking about it for what, a year and a half, as long as
it's something we've all been looking forward
I'm
to.
happy with it.
Councillor Smith, can I count on you for a second to that?
Yes, I would rather see it in August at any time, like you say, on a Saturday,
Yep.
then push it out to a September.
Yeah, the sooner
Because
the better.
Deputy
Yeah,
Mayor,
hopefully the kids are all going back to school in September. Nobody's for sure yet. And I think August would be, any time in August on a Saturday night would be a perfect time to do it.
Great. Gail?
yes, I've spoken to the fire chief, and he had tentatively made plans with the pyrotech company for the Labor Day weekend. That was when they were able to do it, because we don't have enough firemen at this point. So it will depend on what the firemen are able to arrange. So as an additional date, would you like Labor Day?
Well, I think
change
Labor Day, the
Labor Day
Saturday of the weekend might be better.
September.
Okay.
The 4th of September as another additional just in case.
Well, if we could, if that's the date that the fire department is available, do we push it then? And then would they have time to prepare? And we're happy with the community getting that event.
We've put it in staff's hands. They will report back to us on the 7th or earlier through email if needed. So I think
Great.
we've given enough direction to staff that when we can have fireworks, we will have the fireworks. We've expressed
great.
so that's awesome. So I think that's carried, Gail. So do you have enough details to sort of plan this out?
I do.
Thank you, as
Thank you.
always. Moving forward, we have a bylaw somewhere kicking around here in my agenda package. It is a bylaw to remove a holding. So looking at this bylaw 4921, it's on the table. Does anyone want to comment before we move the reading of this bylaw?
4921.
Yeah. Just a quick clarification.
Okay.
This looks like a holding due to water, correct?
Yes.
And has water and sewer been added to this lot at this point?
I don't believe so. They're aware that there is a new home going in there, though.
Okay, so is this the applicant who is building the new home?
Yes.
Or is this, okay, and it is, they own the entire lot here and only half of it is subject to the holding?
The whole thing is subject to hold, but they said that they would just remove the hold off the bottom portion as at this time.
Okay,
That was the suggestion from Hastings County Planning.
excellent. All right, and that would make sense because if they wanted to subdivide it in the future, there would be a need to ensure water going up the road allowance. That makes sense. Excellent. Could I have someone to read that bylaw, please?
I will. Bylaw 4921, a bylaw to remove the holding symbol for certain lands in bylaw 1393 as amended. Read a first, second, and third time.
Thank you. Could I have a seconder, please?
Councillor Smith?
Thank you, Councillor Smith. No opposition from me, so I declare that unanimously carried. We have bylaw 50-21.
Councillor Hudson,
Before we do that,
21,
I-
bylaw to confirm the proceedings of regular council held on the 14th of July 2021 to be read a first, second, and third time.
Counselor, I'm going to declare that we're out of order because I missed a motion that I asked to put on the agenda. We blew
Oh,
past
I'm
it.
so sorry. I
So I don't
apologize.
want to miss that one. Right now, there is a granting opportunity under the Canada Community Revitalization Fund. This is a $500 million fund to reintegrate the public into our community spaces after the pandemic. Speaking with Tara Mendez, the CEO of the Desert Public Library, there are numerous projects that this board has highlighted as a priority of the library board that would be eligible for funding. And I would like to make the following motion. That council supports the public library to apply for the Canada Community Revitalization Fund. And that's the motion. Actually, I can't make that motion. I'm in the chair. Councillor Hudson, are you with
Yes,
us?
as a member of the library board, I am fully supportive of your motion and would put that forward.
Thank you, and I will second that. Thanks, everyone, for that support. That's carried. All right, is there any statements at this time before we wrap up the meeting? I'm totally out of order and I apologize for that.
Meeting, I'm going to put Counselor Smith on the spot. Does he want to read the confirming bylaw instead of me this time? Now that it's just the three of us? Counselor Smith, I've been put on the spot. Don't tell me, you can tell me otherwise.
A bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular council meeting held on the 14th day of July 2021, read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed on this 14th day of July 2021.
Great, I'll just put that on the table right now. It's been read our first time. Just before we leave, anything for statements from us so we can get back to get clear our full agenda. Do you have anything, Amber?
Just wishing everybody a great summer. I know politically there's a lot of things going on in connection to both of our communities. Really just supporting everyone in their healing and hoping everybody is taking this time to relax and rejuvenate before we go back in September. And just all the best to everybody over the summer months.
Councillor Smith, anything?
No, I have nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. I just want to add a couple of things. Last meeting, I put on a notice of motion due to the fact that it's quite evident that within the next week or two, we will be into a federal election campaign. And if I'm wrong, anyone want to make a bet on the side here, I gladly want to win that one, right? And unfortunately, no one really wants an election. We'll be into one. I do not want to put my notice of motion, my motion forward tonight. It would be inappropriate to put a motion without actually having an actionable government in place. It'll be in the election holding pattern. But I will tell council that that motion will be coming forward as soon as the next federal government is elected and ministers are put in place. I did want to update council that I have had some very good conversations with Hastings County over the last couple of days in regards to some concerns with Hastings County jurisdiction. The staff there have been fantastic in supporting and trying to move some resolutions of some longstanding concerns of residents about county housing. I would like to also say that the library is resuming its services. There are many new books and DVDs, and the summer programming schedule has been posted and made public. Lots of good activities for the community. Just want to point out that the town hall is now open for in-person interaction with COVID precautions. And on that note, Friday is paper recycling, and because town hall is now open and has been open for a week, I would like to remind residents the dreaded bag tags are back. So please tag your garbage this week. It is the first week for bag tags. And that concludes the statements. Councillor Smith, thank you for reading that bylaw. Do I have a seconder in you, Councillor Hudson?
I second Counselor Smith.
Fantastic. So that bylaw is now carried. Could I please have a motion to adjourn?
Counselor Smith?
Thank you, Councillor Smith and Councillor Hudson. And I want to thank you too for making it a pleasure to chair this meeting. You've been very supportive with a small group tonight. And thank you, Gail, for your support as well. That concludes the business of this meeting. And I look forward to seeing everyone on August. It looks like the 11th is our next scheduled council meeting, August